making a couple of moves and
Insert 4 side panel hooks 66B into the pairs of holes on one of the tire rack side panels 66A. Insert the 4 other side panel hooks 66B into the pairs of holes on the other tire rack side panel 66A. Retrieve the tire rack assembly from issue 64 and position the hooks 66B from one of the side panels 66A on the outside of the left side of the tire rack 62A. Position the hooks 66B from the other side panel 66A on the outside of the right side of the tire rack 62B. Connect the hole in the upper radiator fairing 67A to the pivot on the right radiator fairing 67C. Position the rear suspension shaft 67D between the left 67B and right 67C radiator fairings. Then secure the left radiator fairing 67B to the upper radiator fairing 67A and the left radiator fairing 67C with 2 T-screws. Insert a shock absorber box bracket 67E into the highlighted hole in the rear shock absorber box 67F and secure it with the T-screw. Insert the highlighted end of the rear suspension shaft 67D into the ring on the shock absorber box bracket 67E from the previous step. Insert the base of the other shock absorber box bracket 67E into the highlighted slot in the rear shock absorber box 67F and connect the ring-shaped upper part of the bracket to the rear suspension shaft 67D. Finally, secure the parts with the T-screw. Retrieve the final assembly from the previous issue. Position the rear shock absorber box 67F close to the rear body section 68A. Retrieve the rear right wheel assembly from issue 65. Insert the rear right arm 2, 56B into the slot in the rear shock absorber box 67F and the rear right arms 3, 54C and 4, 54D and the rear right upper suspension arm 57A into the highlighted slots in the rear body section 68A. Retrieve the rear left wheel assembly from issue 53. Insert the rear left arm 2, 46B into the slot in the rear shock absorber box 67F and the rear left arms 3, 44C and 4, 44D and the rear left upper suspension arm 47A into the highlighted slots in the rear body section 68A. Secure the joint between the rear left arm 4, 44D and rear right arm 4, 54D and between the rear left arm 3, 44C and rear right arm 3, 54C with 2 A screws. Insert the U-screw into the joint between the rear left arm 2, 46B and the rear right arm 2, 56B. Place the rear upper suspension arm bracket 68C on the highlighted hole in the rear body section 68A and secure it with an A screw. Turn the assembly over to insert 2 screws into the holes in the rear body section 68A that connect to the rear left 47A and rear right 57A upper suspension arms. Place the lower body support 68B over the 2 highlighted holes in the rear body section 68A and secure it with 2 T screws.